Bitter anger. Either on the banks of the River Danube or in our pasture lands, an old lady was living. She did not have any other guardian apart from God. She had a tiny hut in which she lived, and in front of her hut there was a single silver berry tree. Maybe the silver berry was only one tree, but it was as valuable as 10 trees. The old lady used to look after this only income source of hers very well. Actually, the silver berry tree was also trying hard to deserve her effort. When its branches were filled with fruits, it used to bow its branches down just like a brooding hen. And then the old lady used to pick all the berries and take them to the market and sell them and buy the things she needed. After a long time, one fox started to pester the silverberry tree. Whenever the poor old lady would leave the tree or enter her hut to perform her prayers, that fox used to appear at once. It used to not only eat the fruits, but also scatter and waste any other fruits. Although the old lady was aware that her berries were being harmed, but since she couldn't see anyone doing it, she did not want to load the responsibility onto anyone. Allah knows best, but maybe the berries are falling off due to the wind, she said to herself, and didn't want to blame anyone without knowing. The same thing continued to happen for many days. The old lady realized that this harmful behavior would not stop. She waited and waited. Then she understood the value of waiting. She saw that a fat fox was coming stealthily. She narrowed her eyes and silenced her breath. The fox came closer and closer. It looked around and jumped onto the tree at once. It ate one, dropped 10, and picked one. The old lady's heart was deeply hurt by the harm that the fox was doing to her tree. She came out from where she was hiding. "Don't you have any shame, you fox?" she complained. "I do not say anything about what you eat, but what can we say about those you've dropped onto the ground? Moreover, if you would come and ask properly from me, wouldn't I give you any? Don't you feel shame for stealing something which belongs to others?" Would a fox feel shame? It jumped from one branch to another. By the time the old lady had realized, the fox ran away to the hill opposite. The old lady was left there with her mouth open. Then she looked at the silver berries scattered on the ground and felt very sorry. Nevertheless, when one's possessions are harmed, one feels that one herself is hurt. Well, the old lady was very upset, but I think it felt embarrassed. It will not come around here anymore, she thought. The next day, the same thing happened, and the following day. The fox had tasted the silver berries and obviously would not leave them alone anymore. The old lady thought that this could not go on like this. She thought and then found a solution. One day, she hid herself somewhere near the tree. When the fox came and climbed the tree, she stuffed the sticks and twigs she had picked under the tree and placed a big wide iron pan on top of them and lit a fire. The fox was still unaware of what was going on. After a while, when the branches of the tree started to be covered with smoke, the fox came to itself, but it was too late. It didn't know where to run. Our foolish fox kept jumping from one branch to the other. In the end, it managed to climb down, but its tail touched the hot iron pan and it sizzled and burnt. The fox escaped so crazily that it ran to the peak of that hill and foot of this mountain with the pain on its tail. Then, at last, it threw itself into a deep river and was relieved a bit from the pain. Thus, both the old lady and the silver berry tree were relaxed. For a long time, the fox could not come near there. Weeks and months passed after the event. The summer had gone, the winter had gone, and at last spring came. The hills became green. The trees were covered with flowers. Then it was summer again. Wheat growing in the fields began to turn golden yellow. Our fox was still not around. When the autumn was beginning, the silver berries started to ripen. The branches of the silver berry tree were pushed down from the weight of the fruits. The blessed tree smelt so beautifully as well that it was attracting everyone's attention who was passing by. They say that this is the reason why people who are passing by a silver berry tree always want to touch its branches. Anyway, let us return to our tale. One morning, the old lady, who was picking silver berries to sell in the market, suddenly saw something. Our fox kept taking its head out of a stone on the hill opposite and kept looking at the tree. The old lady felt pity for the poor animal. Well, she was a good-hearted soul. "Dear fox, the silver berries are ripe now. Wouldn't you like to eat some?" Would a fox understand anything about kindness? It again behaved like an animal. "You cruel woman! My tail is burnt. Don't you see?" the fox said sharply to the poor, good-hearted old lady. Dear audience, the old lady did not insist on anything to this badly-mannered fox, and the fox never forgot the pain of its tail and carried the bitter anger always within itself.